darkness had spoken, with the death blow it downed. The morning had broken like the world itself. It was the removal of hope, and its absence was felt, for all evil was gloating in the triumph of hell. Since just after dawn of creation's existence, Lucifer longed for that moment, that instant. For when all that was wrong would stop mankind's redemption, so he'd hoped all along for the Christ's crucifixion. But God had planned it. Satan didn't foresee that the tables would turn, because the crucified king meant redemption confirmed, and we heard evil scream as we felt heaven roar. Jesus snatched the grave's keys as he walked out the door. He's alive, now the will of the Father revealed. He's alive, and now sin has no power to wield. He's alive, and our sentence of death is repealed. He's alive, Jesus crushed Satan's head with his heel. Not the devil or Judas or the will of a man and made Jesus go through this. No, this was the plan. And now we're fastened to him through the nails in his hands, with his blood substituted for the blood of all man. We were rebellion incarnate, as conscious as a carcass, stumbling in darkness with stubborn hearts of harvest. Sin had subdued and enslaved us in shackles of shame. In total disgrace, we were bound in our blame, and we couldn't escape from captivity's chains, and our hand couldn't save us from justice ordained. But God, he's the vindicator for the wrongly abused. He's the penalty taker for the rightly accused. He's the mediator for the guilty condemned, the emancipator for the slaves to sin, the illuminator for the lost in the dark, the defibrillator for the dead of heart, the righteous Savior who conquered the grave. His power is greater and mighty to save. And now that Jesus is raised, we can see with new eyes that with his resurrection, we will one day too rise. On this side of the cross, we proclaim, as we should, that it's only by Sunday that Friday is good. And Friday's good. See God's wrath poured out onto his own. Friday's good. He was crushed so we could be made whole. Friday's good. Paid the ransom of blood for our souls. Friday's good. Our salvation's in Jesus alone. And now we read all the scriptures in a different light as we gaze through the filter of the risen Christ. From the law to the Psalms to the prophets of old, the redemptive song of the gospel unfolds. For all of it points to this Jesus foretold, a warrior, a savior, and a mighty stronghold. He is a better Moses, the one who arose is leading his hosts into freedom he shows us. He is a better Gideon who takes the dark we're living in and lights it up for anyone who wants the gift he's giving them. He is a better David, our horn of salvation, a warrior arrayed against foes as he saves us. He is a better Solomon, a more wise and faithful sovereign whose sacrifice inaugurates fulfillment of his promises, for the promise of freedom to the promise of peace, to redemption in a kingdom that never will cease, from the ending of enemies to restoring what's lost. It's fulfilled in the remedy that's found in the cross. Jesus saves, and his power cannot be undone. Jesus saves, he is victor. The war has been won. Jesus saves. Praise the Father, the Spirit, the Son. Jesus saves. It is done. 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 And eternity is not enough time to behold this grace and this God who makes everything whole. No. Eternity is not enough time to behold this grace and this God who makes everything whole.